So yeah, we're going to start from the very beginning.
Very beginning. The very beginning is I had a mother and a father and an older brother. And the older brother was the oldest of 9 grandchildren. And he was a boy, so he was very, very special. Because in those days, boys were very, very special. And there is a story, which is probably true, that when I was 3 years old, or thereabouts, I tore the arms and legs off of my dolls and used them for football because nobody would give me a football or let me play football because I was a girl. And that was when I first began to understand that there were things that they didn't allow girls to do.
I grew up in the Dominican Republic, a socially conservative country where sexism, racism, and other prejudices slowly made their way into our culture. A culture that I've been rebelling against since day one.
So I knew from an early stage there were things that girls did and things that boys did. I went through school, did a lot of athletics when I was in school, which my mother used to say, don't let boys know that you're very smart and don't let them know that you're very good at athletics because you won't get married. Because part of the purpose of existence at that time was to get married and have children and live happily ever after. You could go to college because we were one of the first generations where most of us went to college. And when I was at college, I had just one teacher in particular who would say, other teachers are training you to be the wives of doctors. I'm training you to be a doctor.
In my adolescence, I would often give in to my family's expectations, and I would try to become something that I wasn't. And this was very bad for me because I wasn't getting to know myself growing up. I was rather becoming like the image that they had of me. They wanted me to be like this girly, very outgoing, like family person, while I wanted to spend some time on my own, pursuing my interests and just overall like learning about who I was.
When I graduated from college in 1954, I was the last of my group to get married. I wasn't even engaged. Half of them were engaged when we got out of college. I was 21 and a half years old. And there was really no thought of doing anything else. And I got married and we went on a honeymoon. And I had a very good job. I was working at CBS at the time, and I loved my job. But my then-to-be husband had business out in California, and he wanted to be there for three weeks, I think we were away. And because I was new at CBS, they wouldn't give me the time off. So I had to leave my job. And that was the way it was.
In my sophomore year of high school, I started to go out more. I started to become more involved in my community. I got my first job. I went to like a film program, and I started to do community service at DeRote, which is where I met Sandy Warshaw in the first place. And I felt good doing these things. I felt like I was learning more about what I liked to do, what I was good at, what I was bad at. And I just felt like I mattered.
I got a phone call one day asking me if I would like to go to work. And I said, what is it paying? And she quoted something to me that was an astronomical amount of money at that time. It was like $10,000 a year. All right. And I said, I'll take it. And it didn't make my husband happy because his mother said, if you go to work, it will look as though he can't support you. And this was like 1968. It was just at the very, very beginning of the women's movement. And I was involved in the women's movement from the beginning, and because there were people who knew that I could speak and people who knew that I could run groups and people who knew that I could do that kind of thing, so they asked me to come along. So I met a lot of the leaders of the women's group of women's movement of the 60s. I can only mentor so far and be a role model so far because your life, the life of your generation, is so different from what mine was. The opportunities are greater. I listened through the year, the things that you're studying, your problems are different. So I can be a role model and say, I lived through a life of problems, and I solved them. And I went really down into the pits at times and came back up. My pits are different, and my problems are different. What I can say to you is, I went down there and I came up. So that you have a model that says, if I'm down there, I have to go down there, I can come up. She came up, I can come up.
Growing up, I would associate masculinity with power. And as I grew older, I found that I could be girly and I can also be strong and independent and all these things that I am. And I would no longer see masculinity as the only way to be powerful. Although it took me a long time to figure this out, I'm really glad that I did.